Hello there everybody, and welcome to another fun episode of Garden Walks with Jack. We are up in northern Michigan. I'm actually down in Traverse City for the weekend, kind of stocking up on some materials and supplies and stuff for the island, and we thought it'd be fun to do a little video. It is now beautifully raining. It's a nice spring rain, and we're out in the woods on the South Boardman River. This is a trail and an area I've never been to, so we're literally just going to walk through these northern forests. I know quite a bit about the northern forest and all that's coming on in the spring. There's all kinds of cool stuff. Maybe we'll find some morels coming up that we'll be harvesting, and then we'll cook those up later. That'd be awesome. But we're going to try and just do a one take through the forest and talk about all kinds of awesome trees and flowers that are blooming and things that are happening on the riverside here in northern Michigan. So it'll be fun. Let's dive in. So springtime is my absolute favorite time to be in these northern forests. Just coming from Florida and getting up here and taking these little breaks to come out in the woods and get in on a hike is just magic. During a rainstorm like this is great too, because you can just smell the soil and smell the forest coming alive. And there's all kinds of cool things starting to come up. We might hopefully be able to find some morels, as this is the time of year when they're just going to be starting to pop for sure. And we'll just walk around and have a 10-15 minute walk and chat through the woods here, and I'll show you all kinds of cool plants and things that are blooming and happening here. But right off the bat, I noticed this plant here. This is a reed. And this really cool plant is actually what my oldest son is named after. These reeds that grow in these kind of swampy areas and stuff and along the banks of the river. And who's my second son, my youngest is River. So this hike is really in honor of them, Reed and River. So this will be fun. But another plant I noticed here right away is what a lot of people call myrtle or Vinca. And you can see it's in its spring flower here, this beautiful, beautiful purple flower. And I've heard it called an invasive species before, and a lot of people do label it as such, but it in fact is not an invasive species. There's a great article, if I can find it, we'll put a link below, called Vindicating Vinca. And it's all about how, in fact, it does not meet the definition of an invasive species. And we use it a lot in landscape and stuff. It's great. And nice evergreen ground cover growing through here. So there's some really nice grasses and sedges and stuff coming up through here. This is a really great cedar forest and a lot of diversity in not only the evergreens but in the hardwoods and stuff through here too. But the really neat thing about these pines is through a lot of these stands we have two different kinds of pine. Dominantly, there's the white pine and the red pine. And the way that you can tell them apart, this is really fun as well, is the white pine, every one of these tiny little bundles of needles that grow off of the pine. On a white pine, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 needles on every one, WHITE. For white pine. And a red pine has 3 needles coming off of the same little bundle for RED. So that's how you can very easily tell them apart, is just by checking out how many needles are in there. You can see a lot of these reeds growing in this little lowland part here, this little kind of swale right here where it's a little bit wet. And here the Boardman River is raging through here. I haven't been out into the woods or anything here yet, so this is pretty exciting for me. But the Boardman is really cooking right now with some spring rains and all the snow melt off of northern Michigan here. You can see it's humming right along. Pretty good current through here. This is a really fun river to race down in a canoe or a kayak, and a lot of people definitely do that and pull up on some of these shoals and have a picnic lunch or something. But you have to be super careful when you're shooting down the Boardman or any of these northern Michigan rivers, because a lot of trees will get snagged up on the side of the river like that, and the current is obviously racing down right into that snag and right into those logs. So if you're not careful and you're not really good at paddling, you can get caught up and get flipped under there. So you got to watch out for that if you do paddle on some of these northern rivers. It can be a little dangerous. Oh, I do love seeing this sign, caution, poison ivy. These signs are not nearly prevalent enough. Let's see if I can find some poison ivy to show you guys what it looks like before it even gets any leaves on it or anything. The urushiol, the urushiol oil in poison ivy is actually active even when there's no leaves on it. You can get poison ivy just from the bark and the stem, but I'm not seeing any of it in here quite yet. But this is really cool too. Look at this beaver chewed. This is like perfect little beaver chewed log here. And this beaver has been going to town. It's pretty incredible that the strength of the teeth there can gnaw. I mean, look at these chips. Now, that is hard wood right there. But this cottonwood tree is their absolute favorite. You can see he got a hold of this one no problem and took that down. So there's probably a dam somewhere nearby where he's trying to gnaw these down. That one he chewed off and it got all snagged up in that other tree, so he probably gave up. That was a lot of work to chew that down, to have it get snagged up like that and not be successful there. That's a bummer. But anyway, oh, this is so cool. This little shoal over here, a neat little spot. Man, I keep thinking I'm gonna come up on that beaver. You can just smell the soil coming alive in here, and all these plants just so excited about this rain. So for those of you that are not from the north, oh man, this is so cool. There's a snake right up here soaking in. That looks like a young pine snake, maybe. See that snake on the birch log right there? They are a little bit aggressive, so I'm gonna get, I mean, this is a tiny one here, so I'm gonna be able to get a little close to him so I can show you guys him move and everything, but hopefully Mama's not around. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, look at it swim right off out into the river there. Anyway, so those of you that aren't from the north, I know we have a lot of subscribers and stuff like that from all over the place. This is birch, and birch is been used for many years by Native Americans and stuff to build canoes and you know, all kinds of things around the campsite. My brothers and I have known about it for a long time. We used to write our mom letters on birch bark and stuff from summer camp, which was fun. But also it's just a really great paper to use for lighting campfires. So birch bark, a little bundle like this, shredded up like that, will that'll start multiple fires right there, and you can bundle that up, tuck it under your canoe or in your pack or in a little bag or something like that to keep it nice and dry. And that, with a little bit of dry kindling and a little bit of dry wood from under those cedars and pines back there, will get any fire going, even in the rain like this. So this little bit of birch right here is a major score along the bank right here. But I'll leave it for the next guy. That was cool seeing that snake right there. I think it was a pine snake. Or it might have been maybe a king cobra. No, I don't think it was a king cobra. But okay, let's see what else we can find here in the woods. I did see some neat stuff up this other way, on the other side of the bridge up here. And like I said, for those of you that aren't from the north or haven't had a chance to make it to the North Country, I wanted to show you what the spring forest looks like and some of the magic and stuff that's going on in here, because there's a lot of really, really neat plants that are just coming alive and getting so excited about these spring rains and this warmer weather. I was hoping that we would find a little stand of trilliums, because I have noticed that they are just starting to peek out in a few places. These are awesome. So this little plant right here is called a toad lily, and you can see these are kind of closed up right here. This little yellow flower. We'll try and find some that are a little opened up, but they've got this really, really pretty spotted leaf to them. They're a very early flowering bulb that flowers early spring, the toad lilies. A lot of those are kind of already done, but a really pretty yellow little flower on them. You can see there's quite a few of them all through here, and really the trilliums follow right behind the toad lilies. And this is cool down in here along this bank. A lot of tracks in here, probably mostly deer that would be trucking through the mud here. Coming down to the river to find a little drink. Oh, this is so gorgeous along here. This is our northern white cedar. So northern white cedar is actually referred to as the tree of life, and dating back to even biblical times and stuff like that, is known as the tree of life because it has been used for all kinds of medicinal purposes and stuff like that in all parts of the tree. You can take the boughs and branches here and boil them down and make a really, really nice tea that's really good for the stomach. But the wood itself has been used for many, many years, the bark and the wood, because it's so resilient to rot. So cedar is a great plant for, or a tree for building all kinds of things. And every part of the tree has been, or is able to be used for all kinds of really useful things. Especially the Native Americans and stuff realized and knew about that. Wow, this is cool. So we're gonna keep walking along the Boardman River here. This is pretty awesome. There's this kind of ridge, this like knife ridge right up on the bank here. So once upon a time, you know, the river carved this all out, and this was like the riverside maybe went during a huge storm or a big year when this was carved right through here. But along this knife's edge, we've got all kinds of cool diversity, including this really impressive ironwood. The reason this is called ironwood is it is literally iron hard. When you cut through this stuff with a chainsaw, it is like cutting through steel. Really cool little clump ironwood growing right on this ridge here. But it's neat because it's sharing the same space with this maple and cedar all growing together. And look at how these roots are growing and intertwined right together and like holding each other right on this like teeny little ridge here. Really impressive. But this is kind of steep here, but there's also some really awesome plants and stuff through here. Oh. Careful walking through there, buddy. But out here in the open, another great plant that is used a lot in landscaping is the red osier dogwood. So these dogwoods are used a lot because of their bright, beautiful red stems, kind of a nice clump forming shrub. And they do flower in the spring, which is really pretty, but they're mostly planted and appreciated because of this bright, fiery red stem. So in the winter time, you have like that really bright red stem, maybe some evergreen boxwood or yews or something planted at the base of them, and so you get some really, really nice winter interest out of them, and they're gorgeous. You can cut them and use them in your winter arrangements and stuff like that with some winter greens in pots, and this is where they're coming from. This is willow, so also a similar plant here that has a really, really pretty stem to it. See how bright and like neon yellow that is? And these little puffs right here are the remnants of this willow stem. If I had gotten to it weeks ago, you'd cut and enjoy as the little pussy willow. So right along the riverbank here, there's a lot of really neat species of alder and birch, honeysuckle, and a lot of beaver chewing and beaver damage as well. I keep thinking that around every one of these corners we're gonna see another one of those snakes. But the river's really cooking through here pretty good. There's a lot of different birds that are yelling and screaming. They're super excited about springtime as well. I can hear robins singing, blue jays, chickadee-dee-dee-dee-dees. Wow. So cool. Look up the river there. Really cooking through here. So, anyway, we're gonna keep hiking. If we find something else that's really fascinating, we'll be sure to add it to this video. But if we don't, we'll catch you next time. Hope you enjoyed this little bit of a window into the northern Michigan forest in the springtime. We'll catch you next time around. See ya. Okay, so one last plant I wanted to show you guys before we say goodbye here on this walk through the woods. This is raspberry right here. So this is our wild raspberry plant that grows all over in northern Michigan and can spread kind of like crazy. But I'll have to remember this patch because these all look really, really good. Nice, healthy canes here. That's what you call raspberries. These are canes. And these that are kind of whiter and dead are the ghost canes. So this is third year wood. The second year they do grow and produce fruit on them. And the first year are typically the ones that are really, really shooting like crazy, like these guys. So this is a really nice stand of raspberries through here. I'm gonna have to remember and bring my boys here a little later on this summer. This time for real, we gotta go. So I'll see you guys later.